Alright, so here's what I'm working on here. I'm working on RTS, the bit where the NPC will go and mine resources. So I got 3 spawners set up here for resources. This would be wood, stone, food. Well, if I run it for the stone, it works fine. If I run it for the food, you'll just go back and forth, so you won't stop and hang out and actually mine the resource. And if I set it for the wood, it won't work at all. So I got it set for stone now. So let's go ahead and play. He goes to his job. He goes, he sits and mines. He brings it back. He gets the resource, and he'll just continue to do that. Now, if I go in here and I set it to wood, so we should be going here, or here, to get this. So he goes there, he stands there, it gets the resource, but he doesn't move to it. And then if I set it for the food, he gets to his job, comes up with it, and he just runs back and forth. He doesn't actually stay and harvest the material. On the resources themselves, the base blueprints are the same. So it's, you got your resource. This is only to set that text for how much is there. It's temporary. Then the wood, the food, and the stone, all that is changing is the icon and the actual static mesh. There's nothing in them. Other than the mesh being changed. For the EQSs, they are the same with the exception of the actor class they're looking for. So those are all the same. These are just 3 of the exact same thing for simplicity. Try to figure out what's going on. They could run to the same one, but the outputs, but I separated them just to try to figure out what's going on with it. But these 3 are the same, with the exception of the EQS that it's looking for. So it comes through here, comes through find something to mine. That's where the EQS runs, and then the output then has it move to the item, goes to the item, verifies we're there, and then report to shift comes through, checks to see that we're a miner, make sure the location's valid. If it's invalid, comes and clears. If it's valid, and make sure we're at the resource BP, runs the extraction time, sets that we're busy, clears our target location, runs a delay based off of how long, verifies if we passed our extraction time. If not, we're going to run back. To here. So it'll loop each one through here. That's the time it takes. But for the time, it takes 1. So then it loops. Comes back down to swing pick, runs the mine, comes through, sees if we've met our quota. If not, then loops back up here, comes through here, comes down here, keeps running through that loop until we hit the maximum right here. Once we hit that, then it finishes it. So it's set to 5 at a time. Once it passes through there, then it's supposed to go to move to the job site, which is it's going to run the location type office. So that's what brings them back to the shack to do the deposit. And then the deposit takes it out of his inventory and puts it into the player inventory. Another odd tidbit about it is with if we set it back to food, and we go to the behavior tree, and we take this is at location, and we unset it inverse, so now it's actually supposed to, this is how it should be, is at location. This will not work for the stone anymore, but it'll work for the food, which is another thing that's not making sense to me. Now it works for the food, but if I set it back to the stone, it now acts like the food did, and he just stands there. He never actually, or he just runs back and forth to it. Now he's just running back and forth. But he still has a destination he's supposed to go to. And then for the tree bit, so it not moving to certain meshes, if I go in to the wood, and if I change the static mesh to one that I know works, let's go with, I believe the pillar should work. I do have to go through and zero this out. Not that. I have to click on this and zero it out because it's a spawner. So it actually would have still thought it was the old mesh, but now it's resource wood, and it picks up the new mesh. If I set it back to wood, oh, you know what? It's not going to work because I didn't reinverse that. Oh yeah, see, now this one works. All I did was change the mesh. If I go back in and I change it back to cone, gets it, but he won't move to it. He even declares it the winner. Alright, well, hope somebody can help. Thank you.